There were angels protecting my plane today, and I want to tell you what they looked like. My name's Dakota. I have a gift to see into the spiritual world. I had been taxiing. I already made another video talking about the angels, the 3 angels that I saw that were part of the airport grounds. But when we were starting to take off, the angel that had been in charge of the whole airport pointed my attention to these huge, massive angels that looked like lions, but they had wings. And they really had like that. They were a griffin, I guess is what we would call in mythology, but they were really, truly working for the kingdom of God. Asked, did Jesus Christ come in the flesh? Yes, they were. These 2 griffins came to either side of the plane, and they were massive. And honestly, they did remind me of like a super golden version of the griffin in the Chronicles of Narnia, and I'll try and pull a screen grab, but that griffin was so like skinny. These were incredibly beefy and thick, and they came along either side, and between them they had what looked like this huge rubber band, but it was more like a sling underneath the plane. So we were heading towards the runway, and the plane was getting ready to pick up speed to take off. And I asked these griffin, what's your purpose? And they said, we're here to buffet against the wind, or like to block against the wind, and to keep this plane truly on course at this very vulnerable moment of takeoff. You know how there's air traffic control for human beings and the pilots? Well, I think this angel that I talked about in part 1 that had the clipboard was like air traffic control in a way for the airport in the spiritual side of things. So she had directed these griffins, hey, this plane is taking off, go ahead and aid this plane in takeoff. My plane finally lines up to the runway and starts to take off. I see these griffins running at first, but then they catch with their wings, and they've got the plane in a sling between them. Just before the plane takes off and like actually starts lifting off the ground, one of the griffins, and I now know it was the older griffin, angel, again, I'm just trying to say the form of this, it really was an angel. They were in the kingdom of God, but the older griffin passed its side of the sling to the younger griffin, and so the griffin had both. That griffin went above the plane and started lifting it up into the air, I guess needing from a new angle now that we were in the air. And when we lifted off into the air, honestly, the sound it made in the spirit honestly made me cry, because it was that freedom. It was such a sound of freedom. It was an eagle screech. It was so incredible. I don't know if any of you have been like next to an eagle. I got to work at a rehab place once for birds, and there was this one eagle that was so injured on its wing, but when I saw it, it would screech out, but in freedom. It was like, don't forget who I am. And that's the sound I heard from this griffin, just a total freedom and glory in what it was meant to do. And then we got a little ways up, and once we kind of left the airspace, the spiritual airspace of the airport, the griffin dropped away and kind of like sent us on our way, and we had a very smooth flight after that.